Hi guys, another Monday, another vlog. Oh my gosh, when last did I say that? Do you guys remember? Oh my gosh. So yes, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sooo, and I'm turning 30. Oh, I'm lying. I'm turning 29. I'm turning 29, guys. I'm turning 29 in a few days. I'm turning 29 in a few days, on the 30th, which is in 5 days time. And you know, I was really thinking, like, let me actually reflect on my 20s. Let me reflect. It will be my last year in my 20s before I go to the third floor. And yeah, I just had this conversation with myself about what navigating my 20s was like. And so I'm not going to say navigating your 20s. We all have different situations, circumstances, and paths that we've actually walked. But I actually just want to, hopefully through reflecting on my 20s, can help someone else or can just start a conversation around our 20s, man, you know. And actually I was speaking to a friend, actually, the girl who did my makeup, and I was saying, like, I'm about to record navigating my 20s, and she was like, "Ooh, more like the 20s are navigating me." And I'm like, I'm gonna use that because sometimes it's the 20s navigating us. But sorry guys, I'm hungry, I haven't eaten, and I was like, Remo, do you really want to start the vlog like this? Do you want to start eating? But also, can we just talk about how expensive food is? One thing about navigating my 20s is y'all didn't tell me how expensive food is, because you're at home and you're just eating your parents' food. Kante kroza, it's so expensive. Enjoy the video. Okay, so I want to kind of break it down into two parts. So I'll do a part 1 and part 2. I think part 1, I kind of want to reflect on the first half of my 20s, so like 20 to 24. And then part 2 will be 25 to 29. And simply because I feel like there's so much to say that this vlog could go on and on and on and on and on and on. And we don't want that. But yeah, I think, you know, the first half of my 20s, to be honest, I think some of the things that we deal with, or that I dealt with, was things like also learning to be okay with delays. I think more and more it becomes so much harder to celebrate and to see the beauty or the how non-refined life can be sometimes, and non-linear life can be, because you kind of expect it to go through, oh look, sun-kissed babe, but it's a lot in it. How you kind of go through this life where it's like, oh, you're expected to matriculate, you're going to go to varsity, you're going to know what you want to study, you're going to graduate in record time, and you're going to find a job in this economy, South Africa, right? But it doesn't always happen like that. And I think for myself, I think also being informed, I studied psychology, graduated in psychology. I love psychology to bits and pieces. I'm going to try to close this so that it doesn't reflect too much on my face. And initially when I went in, I actually didn't know that my degree would be extended simply because of my maths results. Me and maths, we didn't get along. And so firstly, now my 3-year degree is now 4 years, right? And not only that, I think in my final year I failed some courses. I thought I was done. I remember thinking, I'm going back home. And yeah, another topic, because I thought I was in a relationship back then, and I thought I was gonna go home and we're gonna live happily ever after. Anywho, no regrets because I'm happily married with a beautiful child, so thank you, Siyabonga. But yeah, like, you look back and you're just like, you know what, I put so much pressure on myself to finish in record time, and I didn't get to see the beauty in me going through certain courses again, going through like a 3-year degree in 5 years. And at the time that I finished, looking back now, I actually realized that, you know what, it was in God's time, because the connections that I made, that I fostered, and how I got like work after that was simply because I was still there. You know, had I finished early, had I gone back to Joburg, I wouldn't still be in Cape Town. I wouldn't have the connections that I have and the work that I have. And so in hindsight, it was okay, and all things would work out together for the good of those who love the Lord. Amen. But at that time, it just felt like such a big deal, and that I felt like a failure. And also just realizing to be okay, to stop being okay with failure, to stop being okay with learning from failure and realizing it's an opportunity for growth, an opportunity to actually learn more about myself and learn more about what I definitely do want and what I definitely don't want, that I didn't actually in the moment take the time to realize, because listen, it's failure, you know what I mean? So I think that's definitely something that I would have allowed myself to process and to go through that season with more grace, and not being as hard on myself, and not comparing myself now to my friends and the level that they're at, you know. I mean, when I think about it, I realize that yes, my degree was extended, but then I look at a friend of mine who, like two of my friends who were studying engineering, and their degree is, well, I guess it ends with an honors, but their degree is 4 years. So already it's like, I have this expectation that in 3 years I'm supposed to finish, but these people are going to be here for 4 years anyway. And if they don't pass, then it's going to be 5 years. And, you know, but I have this like mindset that it needs to be in record time. So I think firstly, being okay with failing at such a young age, because you're kind of also expected to know what you want to do, and it's okay to not have everything figured out, firstly. And I also realized that I did a lot of healing in my early 20s. I did a lot of healing from certain experiences that I went through in primary, which I have spoken about, which looking back at it now, I actually realized that one of the things that I went through, the biggest things, it took me 6 years. 6 years to actually be okay and to grow from it, you know. And at the time, why must the sun love me so much? Why must the sun want to? And which is basically like, I kind of saw or experienced domestic violence growing up. I've spoken about it before, and I also realized at the time in my first year that when I could speak about it without crying, I realized that I healed. And it took me being so aware of my heart, aware of what was really the trigger and what was really making me go through so much pain. And I always give the analogy that my ex gave. At least something from it, you know, that. Remember, you always you carry things in a clutch bag. And you're saying a clutch bag because it's like, you know, the clutch bag is so small, but it literally holds the most important things. It's not like, you know, you have a big bag and it can have different things. You have a nail clipper, you have earbud, you have whatever. But a clutch bag literally contains your phone, keys, maybe your card, and lipstick and lip ice. And you hold it so dearly to you that you're not allowing yourself to let go of these things that you consider important from an emotional perspective and emotional traumas, that you don't allow yourself to actually be open to growing, open to healing from it and letting go, because you like feel like it's so valuable, and it created my identity and shaped my identity so much. And so I kind of went to this journey of realizing, wow, you know, I've been hurt through my perception of father figures and the domestic violence that I saw growing up and everything else that formed around it, that I really had to do a lot of soul searching, a lot of healing, which is quite interesting because I studied psychology. But back then, when my mom had suggested that we go to counseling, I was like, why would I go speak to a stranger about my business? The stranger's just gonna tell you what I said because I'm a minor. I don't want to. And now I look back, I'm like, I love the career that I chose. And so I think realizing, which we have the opportunity now, maybe it's in your late 20s that you have the opportunity to heal and to deal with past traumas and share traumas that you may have with family, that it's not easy. You need to allow yourself to let go of control, because, you know, a counselor once so said to me that my problem with not wanting to be vulnerable is the issue that I love a sense of control, and because of that I do not want to I don't want to not be able to bring myself back together, you know, and then I won't have control of myself. So that's something that I learned. And also just realizing that you know, it's just as important to figure out or to find out what you don't like as it is to find out what you do like. And that is because it's okay to be lost. It's okay to not have everything figured out. But if you don't have a starting point, a foundation, a compass that you're using to kind of navigate through your 20s, then it's this open playing field and anyone can come and influence it, and then that's when sometimes we make bad decisions or wrong decisions, because we kind of don't know what is my red flags, what's my do's and don'ts, and what is it that I don't want to do, what is it that I don't like. And in that way, you'll find that a lot of people who share and say like, I don't like corporate, I wouldn't go into corporate, but yet, or I don't want to be sitting behind a desk, yet we choose careers and we, you know, accept certain things that is not for us. And I also think that friendship is also a big thing. This is hard for me, but this is mostly within my late 20s, where once, you know, you kind of finish with varsity. I forgot everything. You kind of finish with varsity. And friends, you know, we get jobs and we move and we change cities, and all of my friends left. Literally all my friends left the province, except for Tisezo. But it was hard. It's hard to make friends in your late 20s, because you go to work, you come back, then it was COVID. You're in the house all the time. You're working from home. You're barely going to shops. You barely have social events. So when do you? Should we just cut out those 2 years? So technically, I'm turning 27 because I missed out on those 2 years sitting at home. But anyway, they're so tricky. Friendships are so tricky. One, because there's toxic friendships, right? Where we kind of settle for so much and we don't, we cut off. I feel like sometimes we cut off friendships too quickly and we don't deal with things or have dialogue and discuss and work through things, because we kind of had this new age of like red flags and we cut you. Whereas friendships can be tough, and you know, they need to be worked on and nurtured, and especially on how that person wants you in their life. And we're going through so much now that you won't always have access to a person. You won't it's not always going to be the same. So I think with friendships it's very tricky. But firstly, being aware, like if you genuinely miss having your friends around, if you genuinely find it hard to make friends, I think putting yourself out there, I've made a lot of online friends, Insta friends, which now I'm like, wow, I had a video call the other day with a friend. I'm like, imagine, like we've never met, like we've been together, and now I'm in like video calls with our kids, and I just absolutely love her. Shout out Natalie. And so like, yeah, it's just, friendships are quite tricky and navigating them, especially because we're all also growing. So if you've had friends in your early 20s and now you're navigating your late 20s, being able to grow together in the sense of growing through the different developmental and life stages you're going through, whether it be loss, we've lost people, so how to be there for people when they're mourning, and how to be there for someone going through marriage and marriage dynamics, and you know, someone going through just being a new parent, someone going through, you know, financial things. So just growth and being there for one another. I think that those dynamics are quite interesting, and it's something that I had to be okay with and learn in my early 20s, like after everyone left. I think another thing I want to talk about is relationships. And I know I spoke about friendships, but I think when it comes to relationships, working or not working, it can be so easy to be so hard on ourselves that our relationship didn't work out, and and we're trying to make it work, right? Because you're just like, you know what, I want to enter into my late 20s knowing who I'm going to be with for the rest of my life, and you literally sometimes compromise on certain standards and principles because you're just like, you know what, but this person treats me well, or they've known me so long, or my family's already met them. And also based on ideals that you had, like, oh, I was going to get married at 23, 24, 25, that then you hold on to the idea of the relationship rather than the actual state or current health of the relationship, right? And so I was in a relationship before I got married, and I thought it was going to lead to marriage. Honestly, I was like, it's leading to marriage. There's no other way. And you know, there's nothing wrong with a relationship not working out, and it not really being like this big thing, like it was someone's fault or there was cheating or anything. It just didn't work out. It was long distance and it had its things, and yeah, I guess its longevity came to an end, or the duration of it. And I also think that long distance is not for everyone. It got to him more than me. And I know I have my wrongs in it as well. But you know what the thing is, that it's so easy to try to hold on to that. Do you know the danger? Do you know what the danger is in trying to hold on to something that it's okay to let go of? And so I thought, firstly I was upset with God. I'm like, God, I prayed for this relationship. Listen, woo, I prayed. I was like, Lord, confirmation, confirmation. Yes, it's you, it's us, you know. And it didn't work out, and it's okay. And it's okay to realize that some relationships don't work out, and not to fear being alone in your late 20s. And yeah, don't be afraid of being single in your late 20s. You know, actually, before I got into a relationship with my husband, I literally was on a boy talks. I was like, no guy should come. Ooh, I'm done. Like, I need a break. And Alicia was like, you know, if a guy asks me out now, he has not heard from you, Lord. He does not pray, because you should definitely tell him not to ask me out now, because I'm on a boy talks and I don't want to say or be with in a relationship with a guy. And so I honored that. Honor the promises you make to yourself that help and are part of self-care and help you to grow and to heal. Honor yourself in that. Please do. Honor your healing. Honor your growth enough not to allow anything or anyone to interfere with that. It's the same with planting. When you're sowing a seed and you're wanting to bear fruit, you're wanting to wait for harvest, you're not going to let certain things to impact and affect that, or to stir the pot, or to, you know, shake you. You know, you know, if you are set on something, allow yourself to go through the process, even if it's difficult, even if it's uncomfortable, even if there's a sense of loneliness. And it's hard because people are getting married and your friends are in relationships and you're just like, but no, don't do it. Don't compromise. Don't settle just because, listen, I'm lonely and I want to be with someone, and I thought I wouldn't be with someone, because I easily held on to that past relationship for the longest time. I was like proper hurt, proper heartbroken. My first like big heartbreak, and I was just like, yo, I'm dimdala for such a heartbreak. And I genuinely wanted it to work out, and I tried to make things work out, and it didn't, and it's okay. And then the person moves on, and now you're like, but also, really, my guy? And then actually you allow yourself to heal, you allow yourself to love again, and love surely does come on over, and love is healing. Love can be healing, and you grow and you find yourself again, and you open yourself up to new people, to someone coming to your life, and then you find yourself married. You find yourself having someone who's so amazing, who goes through with you through this diagnosis that you have, and is just such an amazing human being, and is the father of your child, your beautiful daughter, and you're just like, woo, oh, Mina, like, as in, oh God, and you work together to make sure that I'm the mother of this one. So yeah, I think that's just something that I want to share, that listen, the danger is within trying to make things work so much that you miss the red flags, you miss your standards, you miss your principles, you miss the things that were non-negotiables, because listen, you just don't want to be lonely. You don't want to enter into your late 20s wee-wani, unmarried. You don't want to have to listen to your family saying, why are you not married yet? Where's the baby? Where's the baby? Hey, do you know finances? Do you know the economy of South Africa? Sauda, will you be there when baby's crying at 2 a.m? No, they ain't gonna be there. But they're so cute and want this cute bundle of joy. You know? When you're running out of Pampers, who's gonna be like, let me e-wallet you, babes? Ta-ta. There you go. They won't do that, you know? So don't put that pressure on yourself. And that's just what I wanted to add on in terms of relationship, based on like reflecting on my relationship and certain things and where I thought I would be. I probably would have gotten married younger, to be honest. If things worked out in the previous relationship, would have gotten married younger. Don't know if we would have a kid yet. Don't know how things would have turned out. I wouldn't be in Cape Town, and I just really wouldn't be where I am now. And so I'm grateful that things worked out for the good, you know. Not that things wouldn't have worked out then, they probably would have. And as a Christian, sometimes you tend to feel like, man, was I really hearing from God? Was I this? No, it's okay. Things didn't work out. It's chill. You move on and you learn to trust God, and also believe that God will continue to guide you in the right direction. So that's just what I wanted to share. Don't have pressure as we enter into part 2 of navigating your 20s, which is the late 20s. And maybe it will even take 30s before that relationship and that right person enters into your life, and you're able to heal from certain traumas from relationships. Or maybe you have a kid and you're wondering if you are going to find a partner who's going to accept you, because they're just like, no one's going to be with someone who has a child. It's baggage, it's blah blah blah, there's baby daddy drama or baby mama drama. But you just, please just trust in the process, believe in yourself, value yourself, and know that you are worth someone coming to your life and coming into your life and accepting you and whoever you come with, which is your beautiful child. And don't just settle for someone, because you know what, certain things happen and you see that this person wasn't for kids and doesn't like your child, and because you just want to be in a relationship, don't do that to yourself. It's going to hurt in the long run, and then it's not going to be nice. I think also something else that I noted was, take notes of your strength. Take notes of your strength and the places that you excel, because when we think of purpose, which I think a lot of times in our early 20s, that's what we're thinking about, right? What is my purpose? What is my place? Where's, you know, what's the stage that I'm called to be on? Where's my voice meant to be heard? That it's so easy to try fit in everywhere, to try everything, especially now with social media, where, you know, you have paid partnerships and you're trying to build a brand, that if you don't know your strengths and the things that you excel in, it's so easy to just try be a jack of all trades and to just try to fit in. And I think in my early 20s, I really had to learn that, especially from high school. Like, I went to 3 different high schools, so learning not to, like, I got over fitting in, trying to fit in. I did that a lot in high school, going to different schools, trying to find who you are in those different places, and amongst different groups of people, that I kind of lost myself. So going to varsity, I was just like, I'm starting afresh, I'm finding myself, and this is who I am. And the people who like Remo now will gravitate towards me, and I'm not going to try to mold and fit myself into the spaces I'm going to. The spaces I'm going into must make room for all of this. So yeah, I think that freed me. Honestly, that freed my early 20s, and I'm glad I got to do that in my early 20s, because now I kind of be like, I know who I am. I knows who I am. Whomst are you? I'm the girl. I'm the girl. I know whomst I am. So that really was really amazing and really helpful. I also think in my early 20s, realizing that we don't all know what we're doing. We're kind of navigating this thing, because listen, adulting doesn't have a manual. There's no manual, there's no script for you to look at. And we kept saying it's a scam, adulting, no one prepared us for adulting. And you kind of go through varsity where you probably raised, there's Wi-Fi, you can put the electricity, you can put the heater on in winter the whole day, you have Wi-Fi galore. And then you step out and you're like, damn. And when you're in Cape Town, things are so expensive, like cost of living, rent, all of those things. You don't even realize that you have to make so many changes. You have to kind of understand yourself, your financial love language, how you spend, know yourself. Like, I think even with finances, that's both 20s, early 20s and late 20s. Literally, like, be financially literate. Learn how to save, learn how to spend your money. Your money. It's no one else's, it's yours. So when you're broke, you're broke. So just learning those things that actually I need to, no one has it figured out. And I come from a space where there was a curriculum, there was a schedule, there was a guide, right? An outline of a syllabus of how things go from high school to varsity. You have this from 8 o'clock to this, you have free periods, you get to do what you want to do. And then, you know, you start working and it's like, damn, like I really gotta be disciplined. I really gotta. And actually something I would tell my early 20s is develop discipline now. I wish I developed discipline to the core at that time, that no circumstance, no nothing would take me away from that. Because a lot of times we want to try to be consistent and work on something, work on ourselves. And consistency requires discipline. Discipline requires you to be consistent in that very small action and habit. And so it literally is interlinked. And I think then in the second half we'll touch on like real stuff, you know what I mean? Not real stuff, I'm kidding, not like that, this isn't real stuff. But I think my late 20s were the pinnacle of me being self-aware, me going into self-love, me going into making the changes that I wish I'd made in my 20s. More, you know, in my second half, it was my diagnosis of breast cancer, marriage, it was the baby, it was, you know, and just wanting to think, you know, be there for myself and growing out of imposter syndrome. So there's a lot more in that aspect that I want to touch on. So this is more generalized of the things in my early 20s. But I think the last thing is also being so aware that every decision that I make defines me, and not even from a pressure point, but just like literally every decision I make defines me, whether that be good or bad, whether that be in how I end up having to either make a U-turn. So if I make a decision, whether bad or good, if it's bad, I may need to recalibrate and come back to myself and recenter myself and go, okay, you know, it's like in a GPS, when you're looking where you're going, and then you need to press the recenter to show you that you are here, this is where you're going. So something like that, where I had to realize that, and then realize that actually, even though it defines me, I am able to recalibrate. I am able to make a U-turn, to recenter myself, and it's never too late, honestly, to start over, which is so hard because you spend so much money on this degree. You probably have like to pay back financial aid, you have student loans, you literally probably are the firstborn or the first one to graduate, and there's this expectation, there's so much expectation on you that it is hard to want to redefine yourself at this stage. It's like it's too late, there's too much at stake, the finances don't allow, the combos, they're not connecting, they're not communicating. But actually you still have that opportunity. And I think in this generation and this time where you can be discovered online, no longer like you have to know this connection, you have to be there, you can create something that could make you go viral, that could actually like allow and speak to your passion and your purpose. And you can create work, you can create your niche and what you specialize in. It becomes amazing how your passion and what you're good at and your strengths can come together to build your brand and to help you and to create your work for you, even though it may not be what you're working at now. And sometimes being okay with the fact that you might work in what you are not, what you didn't. Ooh, it's easy. I must end the vlog. You might work in the field that you did not study, and it's okay. It's okay because you're building yourself. It's building blocks, one brick at a time, says Will Smith, you know. And so yeah, I just want to encourage you, if you are in your early 20s, that listen, there's a lot, and life will throw at you the things that it throws at you. And I think being in your early 20s now, having gone through even COVID, and maybe having gone through loss and mourning and depression and anxiety and just your mental health being at play, and even weight gain because of lockdown. We'll talk about those things in the second half. But I know you're going through the most, and I know sometimes I feel like the 20s are navigating you and you are just there in this passenger seat and you don't know what to do. But speak to a lot of people who have gone through it, but also let's catch up in the second half, because then we get to speak about, yeah, the meaty things that I really learned from, and the things that I think in your 20s, sometimes there's an expectation that you are at that point in your early 20s, that you only reach that pinnacle, or only reach that point where you pivot in that space in your late 20s. And yeah, that's what happened to me. So see you guys soon. Why are groceries so expensive? Why? I just started stock fail, guys. Let's have a stock fail for groceries. For groceries, okay?